It's no longer down with Trump, it's fuck Trump.
He is a malignant narcissist. He's a socio-psychopath.
What happens when you call one of Hollywood's most iconic actors a has-been? You get a mic drop moment that leaves Trump red-faced. Robert De Niro's epic takedown live on stage didn't just rattle Trump, it sent the internet into overdrive. But wait until you hear Trump's comically absurd response. Was this the ultimate clash of egos? Stick around to see how De Niro won this battle of words. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. What happens when Robert De Niro takes the stage in front of a room full of celebrities? You get a moment that feels more like a showdown than just another Hollywood speech. It all went down at an award ceremony. Plenty of glitzy outfits, forced small talk, and of course, the anticipation of someone saying something that'd make headlines, and De Niro delivered. You could tell from the second he grabbed the mic that this wasn't going to be one of those scripted thank you speeches.
What their role is and what they did, and they allowed him to do this. He's an outright criminal.
He stepped up with the calm intensity we've seen from his characters in movies like Raging Bull or Casino. But instead of, "I'm funny how? Funny like a clown?" This time the line was real, raw, and aimed straight at Donald Trump. The atmosphere in the room shifted as soon as De Niro began speaking. Like everyone knew something was coming but couldn't quite predict if it'd be a subtle jab or an all-out verbal uppercut. For anyone who's ever watched an award show, you'd know that most speeches at these events tend to play it safe. Not this one. De Niro, in true De Niro fashion, wasn't building tension for fun. He gave off that vibe of an actor who had hit his breaking point, maybe even channeling some inner Travis Bickle. You got the sense that for him, this wasn't just about making a moment, it was personal. And let's point this out. Live TV has become one of the few places where unpredictability still thrives.
I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country.
That's probably why the energy in the room was so electric. Think about it. When most Hollywood A-listers step up to speak, they sprinkle in a joke or two, thank their kids, maybe toss in a vague, "Can't we all just get along?" line. But with De Niro, as soon as he opened his mouth, any hint of staying neutral went out the window. The sense of suspense built like you were watching something unfold in slow motion. Just imagine your favorite actor from Goodfellas bringing the same simmering intensity to a real stage, and you'll get the picture.
Trump bought their votes with outrageous lies and empty promises.
But what's fascinating about moments like this is how much they reflect the cultural temperature. Think back a few years. Would an actor, no matter how famous, have felt comfortable saying something this bold with millions watching? Probably not, especially when it's aimed at a sitting or former president. But today, the landscape has shifted. It's almost expected. Like political correctness has been traded in for raw, blow-for-blow commentary. Public figures, especially those who've achieved De Niro's level of career success, don't seem worried about losing roles or PR points anymore. They know that their audience often eats this kind of thing up.
He is a malignant narcissist. He's a socio-psychopath.
When it comes to Trump especially, there's a whole space in the culture dedicated to calling him out. Sometimes in hilarious ways, sometimes in ways that make people uncomfortable. So there, De Niro was, embodying everything we've come to expect from his on-screen roles, controlled chaos. And then, just like that, he dropped the line that the crowd, and honestly the internet, would lose its collective mind over. Fuck Trump. 2 words. That's all it took to bring the room to its feet.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
It wasn't some long-winded, cleverly crafted monologue. It didn't need to be. The impact wasn't in the word choice. It was in how unapologetically direct it was. And if you've spent any time following Trump, you know there's nothing that gets under his skin faster than someone refusing to hold back.
Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth.
Now, it wasn't just the words themselves that sparked such a reaction. It was the way the audience took it in. As soon as De Niro said it, the room exploded into a standing ovation. Some people laughed nervously. Others cheered like they'd been waiting for someone to say it out loud. For those watching at home, the moment became fuel for memes, debates, and, let's be honest, hours of Twitter fireworks. Imagine a mix of political outrage and Hollywood drama being stuffed into 2 seconds of TV, and you've got what De Niro pulled off. Of course, Trump wouldn't let a moment like this slip by without throwing himself into the narrative. After all, if there's one thing the man can't stand, it's criticism coming from someone who holds even a sliver of celebrity status. Now the question becomes, what would Trump fire back? If De Niro landed his punch like the trained movie veteran he is, was Trump about to retaliate with a full-blown meltdown? Or would he try for a comeback so performatively angry that it'd only add more gasoline to the fire? Knowing Trump, subtlety probably wasn't on the table. This clash wasn't just a war of words. It was a front-row look at a battle of egos. One man cool and calculating, the other thin-skinned and primed to explode. So naturally, Trump's Truth Social activity went into overdrive.
Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received he spelled two wrong, many shots to the head by real boxers in movies.
When Robert De Niro called Donald Trump a con artist, the reaction wasn't just predictable, it was like someone smashed the big red button labeled thin-skinned meltdown. Trump didn't just take the bait. No, he grabbed it with both hands, tripped over himself on the internet stage, and gave exactly the kind of response we've all come to expect. Loud, petty, and packed with enough recycled insults to make you wonder if his speechwriter is just ChatGPT on its worst day. It started, as these things always do, with a post on Truth Social. That's Trump's favorite platform when he needs an audience without filters or fact checks, where he can type whatever pops into his head without worrying about a backspace key.
Over to Truth Social, Robert De Niro, whose acting talents have greatly diminished with his reputation now shot, must even use a teleprompter for his foul.
His reaction to De Niro wasn't long in the making. It never is. Trump's need to respond to criticism is almost reflexive, like a toddler who goes straight from crying to throwing blocks across the room because someone wouldn't share. And let me tell you, this particular tantrum did not disappoint. Before we get to the exact wording, because, it's worth waiting for, let's add some context. Trump's history with Hollywood is complicated, to say the least. He loves the glitz, the attention, the fact that people used to take pictures of him in tuxedos at events. But what he can't stand is anyone from those same circles calling him out. Over the years, he's set his sights on everyone from Meryl Streep to Alec Baldwin, calling them overrated, washed up, or his personal favorite, has-beens. The guy has a file of insults, but he keeps pulling out the same ones over and over, as if calling someone irrelevant somehow makes him more valid. And that brings us to De Niro. After live TV gave us the now iconic "fuck Trump" moment, Trump immediately took to Truth Social.
It's no longer down with Trump, it's fuck Trump.
The platforms where he does his grumpiest work. Who needs formal press releases when you can just type out whatever your ego demands in 280 characters? His response to De Niro hit all the usual Trump notes, calling him a has-been, dismissing him as part of the Hollywood elite, and doubling down on how out of touch actors like him allegedly are. Did he mention the rigged media? No, but we're only surprised because that would have been next on the bingo card. The energy of it all was just peak Trump. Imagine a kid being told they can't play with the cool kids, so they storm off yelling, "Well, you're all lame anyway." That's kind of the vibe here. And the best part? Much like every other time Trump throws one of these online fits, it ended with him looking worse than the person who started it. See, when you're the guy that people routinely mock for your spray tan and your inability to say anonymous correctly, going after a multiple Oscar winner doesn't exactly scream good strategy.
Tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot. A two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids.
What makes all of this even funnier is that Trump's obsession with being respected is basically his whole thing. This isn't just about him not liking De Niro personally. No, what really sets him off is how public all of this is. For Trump, being disrespected where everyone can see is like kryptonite. It's why he spent his entire presidency lashing out at late-night hosts and comedians. He couldn't handle being on the receiving end of a joke, let alone De Niro's version of a public roast. Now, from a broader perspective, there's something fascinating about Trump's strategy, or maybe lack of one. He believes that by attacking back, calling critics washed up, or dismissing them entirely, he's winning. But here's the thing. Every single time he does this, the cycle repeats.
I just don't understand. People can buy it. I just don't know. It's all an act in a certain way. It's all out of insecurity. He's deeply, deeply insecure.
The initial criticism gets sharper, his response makes headlines, and suddenly, people who didn't even hear about De Niro's comment now know it word for word. It's like a masterclass in how not to avoid bad press. When you break down Trump's Truth Social rant, it's clear that while he thinks he's controlling the situation, he's really just falling into the trap. De Niro's criticism struck a nerve, and instead of brushing it off like someone who's actually confident, Trump essentially advertised that it bothered him. His followers ate it up, sure, but outside his fan base, the immediate reaction was laughter, eye rolls, and plenty of memes. Because let's face it, there's a certain irony in being called a has-been by someone whose go-to insult feels like it got stuck in 2004.
And that's why it's so weird that Donald Trump is just across the street. Because he doesn't belong in my city.
By the time the post went viral, and yes, even on Truth Social, things can still find their way into mainstream coverage, it was clear the whole episode was less about Trump defending his honor and more about him proving just how thin-skinned he really is. De Niro's comment trended higher, and Trump's words were laughed off like a loud, unwanted guest crashing a party where nobody really wanted him in the first place. But this isn't just about two celebrities slinging insults. There's a bigger takeaway here, and it shows something deeper about Trump's character. If he can't handle harsh words from an actor, what does that say about his ability to take on actual challenges? When you zoom out, it's not just funny. It's emblematic of why moments like these resonate in a country that's so fiercely divided. What started as a spat between De Niro and Trump has become a symbol of something larger. And we're only just scratching the surface of what that means. This showdown between De Niro and Trump isn't just a clash of egos, it's the perfect snapshot of where America stands today. On one side, there's defiance against a figure accused of undermining democratic principles. On the other, there's a man who treats criticism like a personal attack instead of a conversation. As De Niro put it, this isn't about politics anymore. It's about whether we'll tolerate a con artist who treats the Constitution like a buffet. Moments like this remind us what's really at stake, not just for 2024, but for the values we claim to stand for as a nation.